Why the mind is loud, why the emotional body is wounded. I called this video Why the mind is loud, but I could have also called it Why the emotional body is wounded. And we're actually going to see how it's all interconnected and goes together. So, why is it that the emotional body is wounded? Why is it that the mind is loud? It's actually really simple. We're born with this beautiful light. We feel beautiful. We're open to experience when we're born. If we cry, we cry. If we laugh, we laugh. You know, babies have their eyes wide open. They look around. Wow, it's so beautiful. We're so open. Energy is flowing inside us. Joy, presence is flowing inside us. Doesn't really stay that way as we grow up, though, doesn't it? What happens is over time, we collect these painful emotional experiences. Sometimes even we can start collecting them from the womb or from birth. I've had clients I worked with who, said had a memory come up from birth that was painful and traumatic. But we leave that aside. What happens is we're born, or maybe in the womb, and we start to collect all of these emotionally painful experiences. Mommy is anxious. We feel that anxiety as babies. Now we feel anxious, and we had no release of that. We store that inside. Maybe mom had postpartum depression and we feel her pain and the dark energy inside her and it comes right into us and we store it inside. Maybe mom and dad had a fight. We store that inside. Maybe dad was angry and upset every time we cried as babies or later on did things as children. We store that shame that we felt when dad was angry inside. And our studies show that even if a mother just breaks eye contact with a baby after looking at them, the baby's going to feel shame. So maybe we store some shame inside because our mother wasn't able to be present enough with us when we were young. So this is even before we can think or speak. We already store so many painful stuff inside that wasn't released. And then we can start to think and communicate, and we grow up and more events happen. Some of them are beautiful, or of course, not painting a picture that none of it is beautiful. So much is beautiful. But then there's these painful things that happen, and we start to collect them. We actually start to collect them. We store them inside because we couldn't handle them emotionally. And we didn't have the support we needed to handle them emotionally. So we start to collect them. So maybe the kindergarten teacher wasn't so nice and was mad at us, and we collect that sadness inside from that, or we connect the sadness from seeing mom and dad fight or divorced, or we store jealousy from having a new baby sister or brother born and we don't talk about it and nobody asks us, so we store that inside. And and so it goes. Then go to school and maybe other children get better grades or we get bullied and or we're less popular or judged and we store that. And teenage years, of course, there's so much to store that happens there. And our first boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with us and we store that, or we get fired from a job later on, we store that and many emotions about it. And we start to have this collection of emotional pain that we stored inside from all of these events. All of these events are painful, yeah, but then we store them inside. They get stuck. They don't get released. We store them. We put them in a box inside. We say, I don't want to feel those, so I'm going to put them inside me so I don't have to feel those. I'm going to keep it stuck in my legs or in my stomach or in my chest or in my back or in my jaw so I don't have to feel them. Then what happens to our joy, to our peace? There's no room for it. Why there's no room? We store so much pain inside. We don't feel it so much already. We feel numb. We don't want to feel even. We feel heavy. We feel disconnected. We're dissociated because we stored all that pain inside. We don't feel anymore. And we don't feel great anymore because what did we put inside us? We put emotional pain inside us. If we store all the painful events and feelings that ever happened to us inside, how would we feel great? We're not gonna feel great. We put all the painful stuff inside. It's kind of like going to your to a restaurant and you order this meal that's just disgusting and so gross, and you almost want to throw up. You maybe threw up. It's so gross and made you sick. And then you say, you know what? This was so gross. I want to take this home, this meal home, put it in my refrigerator, and every day I'm going to look at it and eat just a little bit of it to remind myself just how bad it was. That's what we do. We take all these painful experiences, we don't let them flow out. We keep them stuck inside. We grasp onto them. We attach to them. We store them inside. They get stuck. We have all this sick food inside. And of course, we're not going to feel great. It's kind of like if you're going to eat that meal every day, of course, you're going to feel sick. You need to put some fresh vegetables and fruits and, peanuts and healthy stuff in there. Okay. So this is why the emotional body is wounded. We took all these painful events and we haven't let any of them go. If we haven't done any work on ourselves, of course, if you have done some work, then maybe you let some of it go or a lot of it. But the basic beginning is we haven't let any of those go, or barely any of those. We have so much pain stuck inside us that we haven't let go. And so, of course, we don't feel great. We just stored all the painful events in our life inside. Okay. And maybe in a separate video, we can speak about why we store them and don't let them go immediately. There's a reason we do that. Now, we don't feel great. We're in pain or numb or afraid or in shame or all of that, anxious, okay, judgmental toward ourselves, angry at ourselves, reactive. Now, we understand, hopefully, why the emotional body's like that, why it's wounded. We took all the painful events and stored them. Now, let's speak about why the mind is loud. It's very simple. And I'm going to speak about this here in a separate video about fear and desire. But the mind is loud because now it's trying to manage all of these emotions. So it's trying to manage us not being judged by anybody. Because if we are, it's going to remind us of the painful feeling we stored from maybe being judged or rejected by one of our parents or somebody in school. And that's going to be painful. And we don't want to feel that. We told our mind, actually, what we did is, I'm going to backtrack. What we did is we had all this emotional pain, but we told our mind, and you're not going to remember this. You unconsciously did it. You told your mind, I don't want to feel any of this. Please help me. I don't want to feel all of this pain that I have inside. Please help. And the mind is a great servant. It goes, sure, I'll do it. But what this does is when you couldn't feel, and when you were a child, rightfully so, you couldn't feel. We can speak about it at a separate occasion. You couldn't feel. And now your mind, even when you're an adult and you can handle these emotions, is trying to manage not feeling. Because you gave it this job, and it's like a computer. You give it a job, it starts to do it. So what does it do? It tries to manage what do we need to avoid so that we don't feel these emotions? What do we need to get more of so that we cover up those emotions and somehow hopefully feel better? That's fear. What do we need to avoid? And desire. What do I need to get? And so the mind now starts to get loud and crazy all day, thinking, thoughts about fear and desire, thoughts about how to manage all of this emotional pain. So fear looks like I need to avoid being judged. So I need to play by the rules. Why? I want to feel this emotional pain that I stored inside from that one time in the past where I was judged and helpless about it. Okay. Fear. I'm just gonna be likable by anybody because one time I was abandoned by my mother, or I perceived I was abandoned because she wasn't there for me. It doesn't mean she left me, but she wasn't there for me emotionally. And I don't want to experience that again. It was really painful. I still stored it inside. So I'm going to please everybody so they don't abandon me emotionally, so that in my perception, they're here for me because I have this fear inside about feeling it. That's how fear looks like. Desire, I'm going to get a partner. It's going to cover up my pain and make me feel good enough. I'm going to make enough money that I'm never going to have to feel this fear that's inside me anymore. Or I'm going to have enough money and success so that that way, I will never have to feel the deep sense of shame and unworthiness that I carry deep inside me from how my mom and dad treated me when I was 3 or 4 years old, or how bullies treated me at school and I didn't talk to anybody about it. So I'm gonna be successful in the world and have money so that I cover up this pain. Simple examples of fear and desire. Now, why is your mind loud? Your mind is going to constantly think about it. It's going to constantly think about fear. How can I avoid being judged? How can I avoid being abandoned? It's going to constantly worry about it and imagine made up scenarios about how it could happen and try to manage those and try to make sure it doesn't happen and analyze how to do it. And why the mind is loud? Because it's going to constantly think about desire and it's going to go like, how can I get the perfect partner and where do I do it? And then if you get a partner, it's going to be afraid about losing the partner. Or how can I get money and more success and more attention? It's going to constantly think about ways to do it. Maybe I'll lose weight. Maybe I'll change how I look. Maybe I'll improve it. Maybe I'll just get really, really smart and show people how smart I am. And that way, by the way, a lot of these are personal examples from my own life of working with this. And so that's why the mind is loud. It's so simple. It's handling all that stuff. So in this video, we covered why the emotional body is wounded. We stored all the painful events in our lives. We couldn't handle them. And then we store them inside. So we have a lot of pain inside. Why the mind is loud is trying to manage those by avoiding the painful feelings being triggered and looking, and that's fear, and desire, which is looking towards experiences that will help us cover this pain, help us feel better even though we have so much pain inside. That's desire. Or hopefully somehow with experiences that it hopes will help us forever not meet this pain. That's desire. Look at that. We covered fear and desire. I don't know if I'll even do another video about it. We just did it. It had to be in it. I might. So that's the process. That's why the emotional body is loud. The mind is loud. Emotional body wounded. And just a hint you may understand, which will be one of the next videos, then how do you change that, is we really have to let go of all that crap we stored inside. That's the root. The root is not the thoughts in your mind. The root is the emotional energies, wounds that we carry. If we let this go, the mind naturally quiets down because it doesn't have to manage anything anymore. And another clue you may get from this that we'll speak about is, we spoke about why we stored it inside is we couldn't handle them. So we have to get to a point inside and in our belief and trust in ourselves that we can handle them, that we can handle these feelings so that they can really bubble up and we can really let them go. It's one thing we spoke in the previous videos about unconditional love and how it helps us feel safe enough to believe we can handle those feelings and let go. So we already spoke about that somewhat. Thank you. I hope this is helpful. And what does your mind think about usually with fear and desire? I know it's a little vulnerable, but if you can share, that would be great. We can all learn from it. So you're welcome to share. What does your mind do? What does it do in fear and desire? It may help you have some more awareness of this. I'd love to hear. Thank you and see you next time.